Hello there, my name is Sharon Little. I'm one of the Music for People grads and on the marketing team here at Music for People. And we are in a series of conversations with the presenters at our upcoming SummerBreeze MusicFest, coming online June 12th. And just so you know, we have early bird registration. The deadline's this Friday, May 28th. So get yourself registered right now. Today, I am so happy to have Alison Weiner and Alina Plourde. They are two grads. Alina actually heads up the Syracuse branch of the Music for People Musicianship Leadership Program. Alison comes to us and is often on the faculty as well, and comes to us from Sexapaha. Oh, I got it!
Say it 3 times faster.
Sexapaha, Sexapaha, Sexapaha. I've been working on that for years. I finally got it.
Yes, oh, that was great.
North Carolina.
Great.
Oh my gosh. And it's always dangerous putting these two together because you never quite know. There's so much craziness. You see what happens? So one of the workshops, they're each doing their own separate workshop at SummerBreeze, and they are working together on Improvisation 101, which I can hardly wait to hear about. I'm just going to turn it over to you guys, and I think they can hardly wait to see what it's about either, because I think they're going to make it up as we go. I think so. I'm turning Alison and Alina over to you. I'm actually going to mute for a bit, but I'm happy to play whatever we're doing.
Wonderful.
All right, so Improv 101. I think that people who are new to Music for People are going to come to our session first thing in the morning, Alison. So what should we do first? Are you going to play a little bit as they enter, maybe?
I can do that. Yes, just say yes. Keep going, Alina.
Welcome to Improvisation 101.
Thanks, Alison. I needed that.
We just made that up.
We did. There was no advanced planning there. We didn't plan a key or anything.
No.
But I
Alina,
find
sorry, can you just check you got original sound on?
I do.
I do too.
Yeah, okay, great. There's a little cutout there. So this is the power of Zoom.
The power of Zoom. So what I love about playing with Alison is I feel like whatever I play sounds beautiful with Alison. She can put down this beautiful background where I don't have to be thinking about worrying about what chord we're in or whatever. Yeah, so we might play them in and you just play some stuff and everybody can mute and play along and just kind of relax. And what do you usually do for brand new improvisers, Alison?
Brand new improvisers. Well, first I encourage them to take a breath. Take a breath and make an effort to leave your mind talk at the door. Leave your critic at the door and come play, come explore. This is all about exploring. You can't do anything wrong. We don't want you to hurt yourselves. Don't want you to hurt anybody else, but other than that, you really can't do anything wrong. And then whatever you got your heart, some beating going on there, or you got an instrument in front of you. Let a finger drop. And you've taken your first step into the musical forest. Which way are you going to go next? Are you going to go to the left? Or are you going to go to the right? Just take a step and see what happens and see how that feels. and then take another. And then there might be a rock you have to leap over. A little leap, and you might then take a little leap off the rock in that direction. And now you're making melody. And it was wonderful. And that's how I encourage people to start off, that I think about, especially kids. Think about you're in the forest, because everyone's been hiking for the last 16 months, especially in front of my place. So, so kids like the idea of hiking, and you're walking along the trail, and you come to a place where there's a choice, and you make a choice. And that seems to work with a lot of kids.
And that might be a really good way in for teachers too, or trying to think, when they think improvisation, oh my gosh, I've got to do jazz improvisation, what's the blues, I've got blah, 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 blah,
Right.
blah. And,
Right.
and this very simple way, even with the voice, take a breath, go one up, and you can do exactly, that's a beautiful way for teachers to bring that into their classroom, into their studio, online, offline, whatever.
Yeah.
I find that a lot of people starting improvisation are very stressed about what notes they should play, right? So that's why we
Right.
say in Music for People there are no wrong notes. But I also like sometimes to start by just limiting people to one note. Then you've got to work on all the other expressive things. So like supposing I only play one note on the oboe, what kind of solo could I play? And so I often start that way, and then by the time I finally let them use a second note, they're like, thank God, a second note.
But there is that piece, a one-note samba, right? I mean,
This is just a little samba built upon a single note. Other notes are bound to follow, but that root is still the note. Now this new one is the consequence of the one we've just been through. And I'm bound to be the unavoidable consequence of you.
Okay.
Pa! That was a brilliant melody
It's
on
phenomenal,
Chopin's
isn't it?
part.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice.
And then I think you get all those different expressive elements in there, and we
Yeah.
kind of get to focus on those a little bit more as well. And then I love going to conversation at some point. I'm sure you do that a lot, Alison, too, especially with your students, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And that's such a good way to get people listening to each other if they're conversing.
Yeah.
You know?
But first I'll get them, not all the time first, but I'll also get them to just have conversation with themselves, especially on piano, where this hand says something, and then this hand says something in back, something in return. So just introducing the idea of conversation, that music is a language, and we can converse with it, and it's easier not to have to worry about words. Just play with the notes, play with the rhythms. If notes are challenging in some way at the moment, let's bring them to feeling rhythm with the body. That's really helpful.
And how would you take that with, have a conversation with yourself with people using voice or drum or other instrument? Because it can be done, So
Just
how would
pretend. Just pretend. Your imaginary friend. Just you have something to say. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Oh God, just reminded me of this great video. I should have it available for our workshop. This guy is scatting a duet that Charlie Parker and Dizzy Gillespie had with each other, and this guy is going back and forth, So that's just a great way to think about it. Just think about you and somebody else having a conversation. Go ahead and imagine, and you start to feel the rhythm of trading. Often it falls into a rhythm because often we naturally do that. But even if it doesn't, just go back and forth. And if you have that experience and in a comfortable way, you're just exploring yourself, and you have this experience, and then it's a little easier to start having conversation with other people.
Oh, that's really cool. I feel that would build in contrast for people's playing also.
Yes.
Trying to distinguish the two characters. They're going to have to do something slightly different, maybe. I'm going to have to try that with my oboe students. I love that.
And it would also introduce the idea of silence.
Yes, amen to silence.
I was just listening to a podcast with Wynton Marsalis talking about how he composed the Democracy Suite this past year during the pandemic. And he was talking about, they be in the band, and there are 8 guys all just soloing, and they keep playing, and the rhythm section's going, okay, here we come, get off, give someone else a space. And then they have a little breath where they go, and that's the indication for the guys to stop. But that just shows that, and we run into it with the grads too, that everybody's playing all the time, and we forget to stop and listen. But it just shows that it's natural. Pros are going to do that, and they forget to let other people in and move this space. But this is a really beautiful way to introduce that music for people. Mantra silence is your best friend, and the idea of supporting and listening.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if we could take your conversation idea and have someone pretend they were like on the phone. You hear one side of the conversation, then you could imagine they're waiting for their response. That would be cool too.
Yeah.
Then you'd have to have equal silence.
Oh, that's interesting.
Something I often do, which I don't think is going to come over Zoom, but if you put down the pedal on a piano and play, it'll resonate and echo back what you're playing. And I found that's a great way to get people to build in silence too, because then they're listening. I don't think it's going to come out over Zoom. I can try it, but I have a feeling it's one of those things better done live.
Okay, yeah. I was just going to say try it. I mean, what else? What's
I
the
guess
worst
I
gonna
could,
happen?
yeah.
What's the worst going to happen? Is
All right, here we
it's
go.
not
I'm
going to
taking
work,
off
right?
the headphones so I
Not gonna
can reach.
Okay.
It would be something like this, putting the sustain pedal down, and I play the oboe right near the piano. I can't even hear it not over Zoom. Oh, I can, but it's very subtle. I think you have to raise the lid for this, and you have to like really lean in. So
there's something. Please try this at home.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Not only the pitch, but the timbre comes out. So if you play a trombone into your piano, the echo sounds like a trombone. If you play a flute into the piano, it comes out like a flute. It's really cool.
We could also take a little step back from that and perhaps introduce the drone.
Just what I was thinking.
Yeah, so that one person or one source of music is just, there you go. Oh, you've got the real thing. You got the real thing. Just somebody's just keeping this sound going that's going to pull every other sound together. Right. You can just keep it real simple, and if you start to get a little adventurous, the other thing that I try to introduce after we have some experience with melody and harmony is rhythm. And if we're doing piano, I say you got 88 drums here. So start to think about this instrument as a percussion instrument, something that you hit, and you're not really going to break anything. And so often it changes how a new improviser approaches the piano. They've just been kind of staying on the black notes, or they're just staying on the white notes, and they'll start to open up. It becomes a whole other mode of expression.
And that's a great thing to do with people who are drummers, who have not been onto the keyboard. I remember one of our friends, Randy, he had never touched a piano before, but he was a great drummer. And someone brought him over and said, "You have 88 drums." And
There you go.
it was like,
Yeah.
got it. And then and he could use the rhythm that he's got, and you can really get some, what a great way to pull to get people onto this great big huge instrument that can look so scary and freaky,
Right.
Yeah. I like to hand pianists something like tennis balls or paper cups too, and have them just play with those, because then they really can't try to find a note,
Yeah.
Oh, great idea.
There's a cool game that David taught me years ago, and that was because pianists, tend to use 10 fingers all the time. And it's hard to get them to pull back and just listen, So the game is that you play one note with one finger and one note with the other hand, but they both have to be the same finger.
Yeah.
And what, that when this finger plays on the right hand, these often play on the left, and we have this kind of a pattern. But if you start with, and whatever it is, it has to be the same finger, and you have to go slowly, because you will want to go into those patterns again. But try it, Alison, just see where it goes.
Oops. Oops.
See? I know.
So 1, 3, 4, 3, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1. No, I'm doing something else entirely.
I know,
And then there's
isn't
pinkies. I love that. I love
and
that.
you
I
can
needed
move
that.
it all over, so you can take your
Oh, yeah.
up and put the pointer finger in somewhere, and then the thumb together, and you
Love
can
that.
it got me out of a lot of ruts. And
Yeah.
it helps pianists listen differently.
I'm going to
Because
do
you're
that
not
in the
playing
morning
chords.
in the morning song
That
tomorrow.
would be cool.
Yeah.
I love that contrary emotion that it sets up. It's just
Yes,
beautiful. Yeah.
yes, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. All kinds of little things we're going to explore and learn about. And what day is that? Is that this workshop is? It's
Saturday,
the
June
12th. June
Saturday,
12th.
June 12th.
Yeah.
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 So you both have been with MFP for a while, and as I don't know, I guess the question I keep asking people is, what grabbed you about MFP, and why is it so important? I mean, I've been with the group for 30 years. That's a significant chunk of time. There's
Yes.
got to be something, and I don't, do things I don't really want to do. So, but for you, both of you, what has held you in the family for the length of time that you've been in? What about it?
Well, besides the fabulous friends I've made through music, I went and I knew about improvising because I came from a jazz background, which was rare. And there was one other jazzer in the 60 people I met the first time, and but I realized early on that the thing that I was going to learn most about was silence and leaving space, because they don't really talk about that in the jazz programs. It's every time I go to a workshop or gathering, it's a reminder of how important it is to have space so that people can really hear what you have to say. And so often I find that the playing, you feel like you have to fill in all the spaces, and there's a nervousness. I have to do that, I should do that. But in fact, there have been so many examples given to me during the course of time I've spent where we take away the notes, and you start to be able to breathe and really start to be able to enjoy the journey. And it's a journey, and it's different every time. And I think that's one of the things that jazz music has brought to music in general, is a willingness to explore that got lost in the 1800s.
Yep.
And
as a jazz pianist too, if you're in a band, you have one role, but if you're in a trio or a quartet, you're often the one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the piano has a searing particular major role, and you have a rhythm section. But
Mm-hmm.
when you come to MFP, you could be piano and a drone, a shruti box, and a trombone and a shaker.
Mm-hmm.
Or it could be, a
Yeah.
piano and a voice and somebody on gem. You have these completely different combinations, which require a whole other listening approach. And you still got all your jazz stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You have all those tools to use, but
Yeah.
it's in a completely different context that you have to hear and play differently. Is that,
Yes.
did you find
Yes.
that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's just it's refreshing. It's inspiring, and I can't get enough of it. And I'm making really in my own way. I've made it more a part of my life than I ever have. And even though I still love jazz music, and its repertoire, um, more and more, if there's an opportunity to make music in an improvised way with somebody, I want that.
Yeah.
I can't get enough of that.
With no lead sheet.
No, no lead sheet,
No
no
lead sheet.
stinking paper.
We don't need no stinking
We
paper.
don't need no stinking paper.
And
No.
Alina, what about you? You come from an orchestra background.
Yeah, coming from more of a classical music background, I guess what I really love about music for people is it takes all the parts that I like best, the sort of expressive and artistic parts, and that's just all we do. you know, all this other stuff that we're usually wrapped up in getting so perfect, we're just throw that out the window. And you go with the core of the expressive and the artistic stuff. And what's weird is that the music ends up still at an extremely high level. Even we have musicians from different genres, people with different backgrounds and musical experience, and I've had some very good experiences with people playing weird instruments, homemade instruments. Maybe they just picked up the clarinet 3 months ago, and able to make some really, really amazing music together. So for me, it's just a really nice balance. There's a space to be perfect and play a Mahler symphony and get it just the way the composer intended. But then there's also a space to really just express your own music and have the flexibility to follow, where you are that day. And I find that in my teaching as well. I'm teaching at a Montessori school, elementary school right now, and we've been outdoors for the past month or so. And just the other day, I was teaching a class outside with fifth graders, and there were all these turkey vultures flying overhead. And I said, all right, let's stop watching the turkey vultures, and we're going to. And then I was like, no, well, scratch that. Let's all watch the turkey vultures, and I want you each to pick one that you're going to follow. They were sort of going behind trees.
Yeah.
And I was like, when you can see your turkey vulture, you can play. They had ukuleles, and I had given out chime bars, and we were doing some structured activity. And it turned into the most beautiful improv
Oh my
because
gosh.
it was like this layering of basically we had 5 turkey vultures as conductors. And so
Brilliant.
it was really awesome. And
That's
it was
great.
also, we had very loud bird sounds that day as well. So then the next class, I was like, I want to do that turkey vulture thing. I was like, where are the turkey vultures? They were gone. So I just conducted them that we would stop maybe every 20 seconds. We would listen to the bird sounds and then pick a new sound to imitate and coming in and out. And so I think the background of music for people sort of allows you to hear improv possibilities wherever you are and to kind of harness them.
And that's perfect for teachers and educators who may be coming, who, by the way, if you're qualified, can get CTLEs credits. But this work opens up teaching possibilities that instead of stop watching, wait a minute, that's music. Those turkey
Yes.
vultures is the inspiration rather than the distraction. Let's be distracted. Let's go there. Let's listen. Let's be with that because that's what's right in front of us.
Right.
And why not? And then holy mackerel, do we have to be out of our heads and listen differently and not have to think and all that kind of stuff. So for teachers coming in, whether you've got a studio or a classroom or, young, old, whatever range, experienced, non-experienced, can you just speak briefly, and we'll wrap this up briefly, about how teachers might take what they can do, what we do in Summer Breeze, and take that into their classroom or their studio? I mean, you've given some phenomenal examples now, but do you want to just finish up with any last thoughts?
Well, so I have a little last thought today, and he's not compensating me for this, but I just received Jim Oshinsky's magic cards, his music doctor improv cards, and I used them with 3 different students today.
Oh, good.
And what I did, this was so simple, and they all went for it. They all loved it. I actually felt like the directions, the verbal prompts were a little too advanced for these kids, but the pictures, I showed them a picture. I said, this is a prompt. This is a seed of inspiration, and just offer a musical response. And every kid did it, and I just put it up to the screen.
Oh,
this was
nice.
so easy. And I'm not going to grade them, just put up. And they completely got it, each in their own way. It was so fabulous. I did it with our mutual friend in Syracuse, Alina. She loved it. She loved it because she had come to lesson with her own inspiration. She had an origami crane, and she said, I made a song to this.
Yay.
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 Oh,
Yay,
God.
yay, yay.
That's why we do what we do. And so
And it wasn't homework.
It wasn't homework. So there's so many simple things we can do as teachers that are simple, and if the kids are willing, if they don't have I can't in their heads, if they're willing to go for the journey, we're gonna make a difference.
What about you, Lena, for teachers? Teachers
Yeah,
coming in?
I think there's definitely concrete information and materials we can give out. We have some lesson plans ready to go, and I think Music for People, Improv 101 starts with some very simple but very beautiful forms that translate great. But I think there's also kind of a philosophical attitude of just saying yes to everything.
Mm-hmm.
So
Like,
I had a
be like your kindergartner. Me, I want it.
just
No,
Yeah, so I have a really great recorder student, a private student, and she arrived at her lesson today having invented a new note. And it was kind of a weird microtonal note. It was like in between D and E flat. So I don't know, 10 years ago I might have been like, yeah, that's not really an in tune note. That's nice, honey, But now I was like, that's very interesting. You know what that's called? That's microtonal. I tried it on my tuner. I was like, that's exactly between an E flat and an E. And some instruments can do that, like a string instrument can slide. On the recorder, we have to, I don't know, maybe move a finger. And then 10 minutes later in her lesson, this is a second grader, she gets a pencil stuck in her recorder because it's second grade, right? And she's like, there's a pencil in my recorder. And I was like, how did you fit a pencil in your recorder? So I stick a pencil in my recorder. Oh, we had been talking about slide whistles with finding those notes in between. And I was like, you know what a pencil in a recorder might be able to do? And I was like, hey, you just invented the slide whistle recorder. And we spent that. So, not that you're going to do that 100% of the time. You also need to teach the music reading and all that stuff. But when they get that sort of atmosphere of experimentation and you follow them with what they're thinking about, even if it's like, I just dropped a pencil in my recorder, it's just really cool to see where that goes and what can develop. So I would say, both the concrete things and then also just that attitude of like, yes, let's watch the turkey vulture and let's drop pencils in our recorders. Let's do it.
And with that, we'll end on turkey vultures and pencil slide recorders. And so, Alina
Good.
and Alison, thank you so much. This has been, as I knew, it would be a riot. And I think you've got your workshop ready to go. I think
Yeah, I think I want much more than 50 minutes.
yeah, you're gonna have to. Yeah, I
Gonna
know.
have to, gonna have to rein it in maybe or not.
You're gonna have to figure out what to cut out.
Yeah.
It's always you think,
We'll make
oh
it
my God,
up.
50 minutes. I've got so long, and you realize that is nowhere near
Yeah.
enough. Oh my God,
Yeah.
at all.
But
So,
it'll all be great fun. And thanks to you, Sharon, for making a space for us to.
hey, I am
Yeah, we're
so
looking forward to it.
I want to find out about this too. I mean, and besides, everybody I'm talking to, I'm just having great conversations with.
Yeah.
Sitting out here in a gravel road, I don't get an opportunity because at the moment I can
Great.
talk to my cats and the skunk and the birds and things like that. But so Alison and Alina, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
And you both. Would you say, and Alina, you're also doing one on your own. You're doing outside activities.
No,
You're not
I
doing
don't
that
think I'm doing out. Oh yes, I was trying to remember
You should just
because I
call it
do.
the turkey vulture class.
Yeah, I'm doing a couple other sessions. I'm sharing a session with Mary Knish where we're going to talk about playing with different modes and scales and how that can sort of like refresh you and take you into new territory. Even if you don't know what a scale or a mode is, we got you covered. It'll be fine. And then I'm doing another session, which I haven't exactly figured out what I'm going to do, but the idea we all had was let's do a session where people are going to leave their computers and maybe go outside or within their apartment or whatever and have some experiences with the environmental sounds and then come back. Partly just because there is Zoom fatigue from all of this stuff. And going outside to listen can be a really nice way to refresh and then see how that informs your improvisation.
Good. And Alison, you're doing Who's on First?
I'm not sure they're calling it that, but yes, that's
That was
the
an
idea.
yeah, that's the list. Anyway, whatever it is. So
Oh, it says that, great. So it's about playing in ensemble
Yeah.
and different roles that are there that we step in and out of.
so it brings
just
in the whole
keep-
silence and support and conversation and what
Right.
you're listening to and so on.
Right.
Okay. So
So
early bird deadline is this Friday, May 28th. We have a range of tuition options where you can pay a tuition that is supported by someone else. Our regular tuition, you can help support someone else come. And if you are especially generous, you can pay for another whole person's tuition. We want to make this accessible. And that graded tuition happens with the early bird and with the regular tuition. We want to make this as accessible as possible. To get this out, we are having people attend from around the world on our workshops now, which is really exciting. We haven't been able to do that live, and so we are here for you. Thank you, Alison. Thank you, Alina.
thank you.
And we will see you all on June 12th.
Great.
Bye.
Ciao.
Bye.